And so today we'll be talking about a lot about sports and the power sports has in this climate dialogue of climate action that as a society we need to take. But before that, I want to show a video of an initiative I've started in India, which is called Ek Beti Ek Cycle, which means one daughter, one cycle, and what the entire initiative is about and what problem we are trying to address in India with a high dropout rate of girl children not being able to finish education. So let's see the video and we'll understand more.
Hi, I'm Pragna Mohan, IOC Young Leader from India of the batch 2023 to 2026. This is a story about the girls studying in 9th grade at Sarvajanik Vidyalaya located in village Telav. They have to travel as much as 6 kilometers to attend the school on a daily basis. With this intervention, we hope to enable them to cycle to school every day, which will not only save their time but also empower them with being independent and confident. I think I've always had this sense that I was privileged enough to get so many opportunities, so many things, and I always wanted to give back. Sports has given me so much. My entire recognition is because I'm a sports person, and I wanted to always give back to the society. So when I got this opportunity of becoming an IOC Young Leader and getting the support of International Olympic Committee along with Panasonic as the founding partner, I wanted to grab it. And I've always had, because I'm a triathlete, I've always had this affinity towards giving back through one of the sports that I was a part of, be it swim, cycle or run. And because I have had a similar experience of taking an unused bike, refurbishing it and starting my competitive cycling journey, I thought that why not do something similar? And there are so many girls in India who do not get any opportunities just because there is a lot of distance and a lot of people don't have the privilege of having modes of commute. So this is the concept that I came up with, that if we could give them the independence and the confidence to ride cycles on their own on streets of India and commute to wherever they want to, then they can be independent and they can seize the opportunities that otherwise will not be theirs. So here we are trying to teach girls how to ride cycles and then provide them with those cycles. We have gone door to door to ask for these cycles from people who are no more using it. We got them refurbished, and hopefully these girls one day will be independent and will ride these cycles to and fro schools or to various opportunities and seize those opportunities and gain the confidence that we want them and hope for a better society.
So this is what we are trying to do with our project, which is called Ek Beti Ek Cycle, one daughter, one cycle. What we recognize is that 60% of girls in India never complete education simply because their schools are far off from their villages And that is why we are giving them a climate-friendly, sustainable mode of commute, that is through cycling. And these cycles are sourced by recycling the cycles that the privileged class of the society is not using anymore.
Me and Pragna, yeah.
What?
Switch. Oh, then we're under our.
Okay.
That makes more sense.
Amazing. So it's first of all my pleasure to welcome both of you, Pragna and Katie. It's quite an honor to be doing this because I'm a poet. I'm the founder of Poetry for Planet, and I collect stories to empower and heal the climate community. So here at Poetry for Planet, we're using stories to empower and heal. And one of the angles that was missing from the conversation was, how do sports and climate change intersect? So Katie, perhaps you should introduce yourself and share your journey a little bit.
Thank you. Yeah, so I am Katie Rood. It's lovely to be here. Thank you guys for coming along today. I am a footballer or soccer player for some places in the world. I've been playing professionally for 7 years across Europe and England, clubs including Juventus and Southampton, along with various others, and including the international team, New Zealand. I just realized in my journey, I always thought that football would be a vehicle to kind of see the world. And through that journey, I kind of recognized the privilege I had of being one of the few 5 million who got to grow up in paradise in New Zealand. And that connection to nature was really strong. And when I went overseas, I recognized that actually, wow, people grow up in cities and they don't necessarily have that access and that opportunity to really understand nature and feel the power and the beauty and the awe. And that kind of gave me a bit of a kick to be like, wait, I have a responsibility here as one of the few who kind of understand how important it is to have that connection to nature. And we got air to breathe. She gives us water to drink, food to eat, and a planet to play on. And I think just through that journey, I've recognized that sport has a huge role to play, and us as athletes as well can use our platforms to make those connections for people.
What brings you to COP?
So we were invited to COP off the back of writing an open letter to FIFA about their major sponsorship deal with Saudi Aramco, which ties them in for the next 2 World Cups, the men's and the women's. They had basically no interaction with their community on this, and we wrote an open letter and got 130 female footballers signatories from 26 different countries to sign that letter to say that this doesn't represent us, it doesn't fit or align with our values and what we stand for, and it's not the direction in which we want the game to go. Calling it out and saying we want you to do better. We see an opportunity here for organizations and corporations, but especially in sport, FIFA, such a huge entity, like what an opportunity they have to lead and really show the world what a better future is possible. And so that's kind of been a key part of the conversations I've been having here at COP.
I think your story, as you said, playing sports allows you to be in nature, and then advocating for nature. It's an angle that we're yet to explore, because usually we think that sports person are so healthy, but you are also exposing yourself outside. And I think that what you're doing is truly incredible. And to see sports for climate action and sports person like you standing for climate action is quite an interesting intervention. So thank you for all that you're doing, and for bringing a new angle, because most people don't think that way. And I am so glad that I have the privilege to take this conversation forward with Pragna on this. So we saw the documentary, and I think using bicycles to empower women, girls.
Yes.
I think that's quite an interesting intervention right there. So I would love to know what's your story. And we already know what you're doing, but what's your story?
So my story starts way back. Like I was born and brought up in India, and growing up as an athlete, it took a while to realize until I got the opportunity to travel abroad, to train abroad, to compete abroad, the difference of the quality of air, water, and everything else that as an athlete is very quintessential for us to kind of be in that environment where we're going to race in finally. So I think there was a realization very early on that we are not in the best of the environment in my country of India to be able to train as athletes, be it the air quality, the water pollutions that we see. For example, I'll give you, I come from a place called Ahmedabad in Gujarat, and I have never been able to swim in the river of my city. And in triathlon, the sport that I do, we have to swim in the open water as part of our race. So just starting there, starting with the basics, we don't have the basics right. Like if an athlete, if a triathlete wants to come out of India, they don't have an open water to practice in. And we lose at the world, like comparative to any other athlete around the world, we lose just right there. So that is why I think climate conversation as an athlete is very essential. It is almost important because our sports, the training or be the competition, are directly impacted by the climate crisis.
That's, it's like a basic right to be able to swim, to be able to engage in sports, and being deprived of that is, I'm glad that I asked you about it, because right now, as we speak, the AQI, the air quality index in Delhi is over 1,000. So it's a gas chamber in the real sense of the word. The schools have been shut down because of pollution, something that is unimaginable. What are your thoughts on that? And what do you think the impact on the current generation of sports persons who cannot go out to play, train, because it's difficult to just breathe in that air?
Yes, I definitely. Do you want to take that?
Well, just for me, I think something that really resonates and stuck so strongly with me was during COVID. And I saw a video of people in India who, for the first time, the air had cleared so much that they saw the Himalayas were right there in the background. And they hadn't known that whole time that they could see the greatest mountain range on the planet from their homes. And I really thought that that was going to be a critical moment in our history where people are like, we're not going to stand for this anymore. You know, this is what clean air feels like. This is what it means to be so connected to our motherland. And that was kind of like a really hopeful moment for me to think that surely we won't go back to the ways that we were, but it seemed like it was a brief glimpse into the world that we could have, but we quickly reverted back to our old ways and industry and progress and all of that. So I think it's a pretty frightening potential future if we carry on the way that we do. I think I really feel for kids across the globe already who are struggling to really just play and be in nature. I think it's one of the most critical foundations of humanity and in fact any species is that ability just to play and interact with each other with that freedom. And it's concerning for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. As an athlete from that country, I do have colleagues who train in Delhi per se. And I feel that, even going out for a simple jog, which is supposed to be healthy, you are like just inhaling the air because you are stepping out, you are smoking so many packs of cigarettes. That, is it a benefit or should you not step out? And as athletes, we actually take our bodies to great extent. Like, we put a lot of tension on our bodies. So it could be negative. And a lot of my colleagues I know who train there do not step out during these season, like the winter season, because the air pollution levels are much higher than that of the rest of the year. Rest of the year is no better, but it's much worse during the winter. So I think we need to rethink, and we need to take actions now, and we need to take actions at even the policy levels so that we can bring this down.
You mentioned about policy level interventions. Do you have any insights into the policy level interventions that are being talked about at COP or nationally?
So internationally, we do have a Sports for Climate Action framework made by the UN, and a lot of organizations worldwide have signed up for it, and they are trying to take actions like we saw at Paris 2024, that they were trying to make the Olympic Games as sustainable as possible. They did not go for new stadiums. They used the pre-existing ones. They tried to make the athlete villages as sustainable as possible by making the beds and everything around it from sustainable material, and they were recycling and going to reuse that. So I think, and with no aircon being there, which was a very controversial topic because it was the hottest Olympics ever to happen, again because of climate crisis. So I think the dialogue has moved forward, but there's a lot more we can do as a sporting organization or sports.
Yeah, I think it's the case too that there's a will for organizations to sign on to these things, but not to necessarily act in accordance to them. And I think we've seen that a lot from federations at a high level, that they're signing on to it, they're doing some good things, but the majority of it, they're still forging forwards. And you can look at FIFA and at UEFA, the big federations like that, they're still expanding the competitions. The FIFA World Cup to come is across 3 different countries, you know, so that's not helpful in the terms of the direction in which we want to head. So it's kind of contradictory to sign these things, but then continue to expand like they are.
Yeah, I think that's quite an interesting insight as well, because we sign a lot of declarations, but we never follow up on that. I just have a reflective question, more of a reflection I would require from you. So I think we've grown up very privileged. We have had the privilege to play outside. What do you think about the coming generation? And if you were to fight very strongly for it, what's that one thing you would do? Like if you are the leader, let's say you are the world leader out there in the negotiation room, what's that one thing that you would absolutely want to push for that could change the course of everything, that could change perhaps the reality that we're living right now? Because I think that I am a young person, but I want to have kids as well. But again, you can't bring your kids in a world like that where schools have been shut down. So there's a culture that is dying. There's something so humane and intrinsic, yeah.
For me, I'm not sure about the technical aspect, but in my heart, I feel that a lot of what is wrong with the world and humanity is that we've lost our connection to the earth. And I think if more people could connect to her and just feel that power and the awe and the beauty and the inspiration that you get from being out in the natural world, I feel like it's a no-brainer that we would want to do things to protect her and to conserve and to work in unison with nature and the solutions there. And I think that's what's so beautiful about the Indigenous movement. And we heard just before from the Wisdom Keepers about the solutions are there and we're just not listening to them. And I think that would be, for me, is just getting people to wake up and connect to this beautiful planet that we have the privilege to live on. You know, it's the only place in the whole universe that we know of that harbors the conditions for life. Yet we stick ourselves in buildings and forget that, you know, there's a big wide world out there for us to play in. So that would be me.
Yes, definitely. I feel that if we don't act now, there'll be less opportunities. Like we are seeing that now in India, for example, like children won't be able to go out. They won't have spaces to play. They won't have clean air to breathe. They wouldn't have water to swim in. No road visibility. Like right now, the visibility in Delhi is 100, 200 meters, which is very concerning for a cyclist, especially out on the road. It is dangerous. So I think we need to act fast. And at the policy level, obviously, there are leaders trying to do their bits, but we have to take actions. We have to take a lot of follow-ups after, as you mentioned, that they sign on to a lot of things, but there are no follow-ups done. So there has to be regular follow-ups. But I feel like as a sporting world, we have the power to kind of bring people together. We have billions of followers for a sport like football. Like, it's almost a religion for people that they religiously follow. So as sports, we have the power to unite people. Sports is viewed as a happy place for everyone out there. And I think every one of us grew up playing some kind of sport. And even as adults, when we go play sport, not necessarily as professional athletes, as just someone who wants to enjoy time, sports connects a lot of people and connects hearts. So I think as sporting world, we have the power to bring together people and urge them to take actions.
You've beautifully summed it up, actually. That sports connects people, it unites people, it brings joy. And I feel like it's physical poetry. So yeah. So my question would be that the sporting culture is also dying in that sense. What responsibility do big corporations, big sports person have towards, climate action? How can FIFA, entities like FIFA or ICC or IOC in that sense, push towards climate action? Because I think if you look at how we congregate, I am a huge fan of FIFA. Like, I love Lionel Messi and I love football. So I know that if a sports person is going to endorse, I am going to take that in stride. I think Ronaldo's action, if not picking up the Coca-Cola bottle and water instead, had a huge impact. So how do you think, what responsibility do these entities have? And how do you think they can act in that behalf? And do you have any personal initiatives that you've taken, some things that you said no to?
Yeah, so that's what really excites me about women's football as well. I've talked a lot while I've been here about the history of women's football and how it's been banned in the past and women haven't been allowed to play. And it's only through generations fighting for our place on that pitch that we now have the progress and the platform that we do now. And I think that the players, this current generation, we don't take that lightly. We know that we've only got there through the endurance and the perseverance and the passion of the females that came before us. And we feel a real duty to carry that on for the next generations. And so that's kind of where I feel like activism is happening a lot, especially through women's sports, because we've got that platform and we want to use it. The eyes are now there. We've struggled in the past to even break through the media, and now we're there. And it's like, how are we going to use this for the advantage of everybody? And I think that's, again, comes back to the letter to FIFA, is that we're applying pressure to these organizations to say, hey, here's the opportunity. You've like you said, football's like a religion for so many people. The passion and the spirit that people have around their team and their club. And you imagine if that club just put a part of their energy towards cleaner, greener initiatives and trying to bring that community together around climate action. The opportunity there to create, something really good and that momentum. Once it starts at the sports club, it stems out to the communities that touch it. And I think there's just, again, so much opportunity for leadership in this space that we would love to see those organizations taking.
It's quite incredible because I see that women are not just at the helm of climate action here, policymakers and activists, but also in sports. It started with activism to have women in football, and having a footballer amongst us is just such a privilege, It is a long journey, but again, I think that we could take so much from the values that you cultivate, grit, resilience, and it could all be incorporated in the climate struggle as well.
Absolutely. And sport as well has so many values. Do you want to touch on that kind of vigor that you get from sport and what we learn from sport that we can apply to the current?
Yeah, definitely. I think as sports people, we definitely learn how to work with a team. Teamwork is something very essential for sport, be it an individual sport. Like triathlon is perceived by many as an individual sport. But there's a team working with me, my coach, my squad, my peers, my physiotherapist, my, mental health, yes, my agents, everyone. So, and the family. So every sport, especially at a professional level, is a team effort. Nothing like, and football is definitely a team effort, like team sports. So we learn so much of teamwork, and I think the global climate crisis calls for a global team effort. It has to be a coordinated effort from all the nations across the world. No single person or nation can tackle it alone. Especially coming from the global south, I can speak up that we need a coordination between the developed countries and the developing countries to be able to fight this. And this being a finance COP, where they're going to negotiate on, what the developed countries need to pay to the underdeveloped countries and the developing nations to come together, I think that's very essential. And from sports, we do learn that valuable lesson, that as sports person we know that it'll be hard work, it'll be a lot of sacrifices, a lot of tireless nights, but we will get there. So I think climate action can learn definitely that from sports, and sporting world, like I said, provides an incredible platform for them to connect, a happy place to connect.
That's, I think you've said something really incredible there. And when you mentioned team effort, teamwork, that spirit is missing. And I kind of want these negotiations to be led by a sports person,
Yeah.
because you can ignite that team spirit. You can just be like, yes, we have to get this done, we have to win. And if I look at the place that we are here at COP, it's like a congregation of superheroes who are trying to save the world. And you are the new role models for us as well, people who are working not just at the intersection of, sports, but also sports and climate action and gender. And that's quite incredible. So, when we use stories have allowed us to be resilient. It's just our way of communicating. And now sports, the values that we have embedded in sports as well, they also have these values of grit, resilience. So how do you think, these could be incorporated in these spaces? Grit, resilience, and because negotiations take time, it takes periods. So could you just shed some light on that? The mental resilience, the physical resilience required, because we're exhausted sometimes.
Yeah.
We're hungry, yeah.
And I've noticed that too coming here, is that it's such a heavy topic and there's so much seriousness to it that I think we lose sight of that joy, freedom, playfulness that you get in sport. And I think, and that happens as an athlete as well sometimes. You can be so focused on the outcome that you forget to actually, you're playing a game, you're literally playing a game. And I think that fun element is definitely lacking here. And I think, obviously, it's hard to come by, but I think that just that spirit and energy, something that we can really incorporate around to get things moving, could definitely help.
Yeah, I think also as athletes, we learn it very early on in our careers that mental resilience is very important. We face a lot of failures before we can succeed, and even after we succeed, we then also face a lot of failures. So I think similar is the concept of climate action, because it's a conversation which is just getting started and rolling. So there are a lot of alternative solutions that as a world we'll be trying, we'll be failing, but not seeing progress. So we need to keep on going at it. Like, just because one thing did not work, we need to try another. And I think the scientists and the policymakers are doing fantastic jobs at it. But that is another quality from sports that we can learn, like the mental resilience that we have to develop. It's inherent to the sporting world. I think can be definitely imbibed by the climate action, and I think it will be the same process for that as well.
Absolutely. I think this space needs mental resilience a lot, especially activists, people who are seriously affected, like, us from the global south. We are seeing the consequences in real time. I will be landing in Delhi as we speak 2 days later, and I know that it's going to be different this time. It was definitely different, but I was boarding the flight as well. So mental resilience is so important. That has allowed us to overcome challenges. So I think we just have 5 minutes left, so I will ask of you a call to action. What do you expect of world leaders, and what message do you want to give the current generation of young people, sports person? Katie, you can take this one, and then you.
I think for me, it's just everybody has a role to play. I didn't speak up because I had a platform. I didn't really have a platform. I just followed my passion and did what I could, and have taken every opportunity since. And now we're here. Like, who would have thought? But I think it's everybody has a role that they can play, and if you can, find that passion within you to do your part, then others will soon follow, and you can connect to people, amazing people everywhere that are trying to do their bits too. And it's that community, bringing them together, that teamwork. And I think, again, sports teaches us so much. And the thing I love about football is how unpredictable it is. You know, you can play your heart out, you can give it everything, and you never know what the outcome is going to be. But unless you give it your best, you're never going to win. So I think that's kind of the emphasis here, is that we all just got to give it our best and see what happens.
That's amazing.
Yes, I think we need to just emphasize on the urgency of the problem, and we need to, get across the message that it has to start now. Like, we don't have time. If we want our kids, our future generations, to have cleaner air, clean water, just to enjoy sports, just to have areas to play at, I think it is important to take actions now. And as a generation which has enjoyed going outside, we need to leave world, if not better, the same place that we got it as. So I think we need to take actions now and ensure that our future generations get the world, a clean world, a better world to be in.
That's lovely. I think that's the best way to. I think that when you said that, we have to be best at it. We don't get to win, but at least we can put our hearts and souls into it. If you put your hearts and souls into saving the world, you will eventually save it. But if you are torn, and if you are compromised, because this is what the situation is with the world leaders negotiating, and they are sometimes profit motive keeps them, and they have other things going on. So it's this is something that we can learn from the indigenous people as well. Their hearts are very pure. They know that it's Mother Nature that ultimately we have to bow down to. As you said, that the urgency, Pragnya, you mentioned the urgency, which is so important. It is. Sometimes I just want to scream, because it is my people, my friends, my family, they are going through so much. But we have this platform, and it is kind of a privilege to be here in that sense, to advocate. So I think it's a very deep responsibility to be here, and I'm so glad that we could have a conversation about the intersection of sports and climate action, because that is something unexplored yet. We consider sports persons very healthy, but are they going to be healthy if they train in ecosystems which are literally damaged and deteriorated like that?
Only as healthy as our ecosystems.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you for this wonderful conversation. I appreciate.
Thank
Thank you so much to the audience.
Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions for our amazing panelists here? You have a question?
I'm very late. Anyway, do you have any tree plantation project in India or any other part of the world?
Tree plantation project. IOC is actually making an IOC forest in Madhya Pradesh with Abhinav Bindra Foundation. So they are in talks with that, and the work has primarily started, but it is going to be announced next year. So that is a tree plantation. It's going to be the biggest IOC forest in the world right now. They already have 2 forests. One in Senegal is the biggest right now, but it is going to be bigger than that, and that's in the state of Madhya Pradesh. Yes.
Okay. Any more questions? So we shall wrap it up, and it's quite a privilege again to be able to talk to amazing sports persons like you. And I think that this would be a reminder for the coming generation sports person to also take the responsibility to advocate for clean ecosystems, because also I would have touched on one more topic about nationalism and sports, how this could be incorporated, probably next time.
Next time.
Yeah.
Next time.
Next time.
Definitely.
Thank you so
Yes.
much, Katie and Pragnya.
Thank you all.
Thank
Yeah, thank you so much.